Hello and welcome to the Heroes Havens podcast. My name is Jacob Hernandez and thank you again for tuning in. We are here on episode 5. We are almost at the second hand, not quite. But today we kind of have a cool episode for scripted, planned out. But we are going to be going over some like children's movies. I recently just watched some, was supposed to watch them with some other people, but like I said last week, might have a guest on here. Things kind of fell through. Just happens. It is what it is. But still looking forward. I think that guest may come on in the future. I don't know. We'll see. But we're gonna be reviewing Neja 2, and then also gonna be going over K-pop Demon Hunters. So I'm sure you've heard of K-pop Demon Hunters. Neja 2, a little more. What's the word? Not popularized in the Americas, but like I had said last week, it's the 5th highest grossing movie of all time, and it like I said, knocked out Star Wars The Force Awakens. So we went and watched that, and then we're also going to be reviewing Peacemaker season 2 episode 1. I plan on reviewing Peacemaker for each episode every week, just kind of like what I plan on doing with the podcast. We're in a state of kind of movies coming out, but I do want to talk about the TV shows as they are related with the DCEU and the MCU and things Star Wars related, just stuff that I'm into. So starting with Neja 2, I just want to say, like, it's weird going into a movie knowing absolutely nothing. The only thing that I knew about Neja 2 is, 1, it's the 5th highest grossing movie of all time. So your expectations are up here. And then the second thing that I knew is that I believe the first Neja movie had a score of like 3.1. So I don't know how it got a sequel, but the sequel lived up to the hype. That movie was amazing. It was absolutely fantastic. I confidently can say it was the greatest animation I've ever seen inside a movie. Just it was so well done. And I wrote it down. It was made by Chengdu Coco Cartoon Studio. So obviously a Chinese animation studio, and they just absolutely blew it out of the water. I mean, there's no animation that comes close to it. And like, that is the highlight of this movie, is the animation. But that's not to say that the story doesn't live up to the standards that the animation set, because the story is phenomenal as well. You don't need to watch the first movie. They kind of go over what happens in the first movie in the first like 3 minutes. So that was kind of cool. Obviously, the translation is different than Chinese. And there were times where you could tell that there's just no proper way to say it in English. So sometimes that got a little bit confusing. And coming into a movie where they're kind of name dropping everyone, because you start off in this scene where you're introduced to about 20 characters. And like I said, knowing nothing about Neja or even just Chinese culture, like, like I'm not going to pretend to be something I'm not and say I'm educated. Like I don't know anything. I mean, I played Black Myth Wukong, Sun Wukong, and that, like, I play League of Legends. That's what I got. But I mean, they just throw 20 names at you, and it's different than like Chris, Mark, Jennifer, Jasmine, Jessica. Like, it was very much like the 2 main characters are Ao Bing, Neja. There was Sensei Tenyi, and I couldn't tell you anyone else. Ao Bing has siblings. Their last name is Ao, because in Chinese, Japanese, Eastern culture, a lot of Eastern Asian dominant countries, last name comes first. So that was like kind of context clues as you start to pick up on some things, and obviously the way the story plays out. But the story's phenomenal. It's essentially about Neja, who is like this demon spirit, like representation of the demon spirit in the human world. And then you have Ao Bing, who is like I believe they use the term spirit, but like the spirit orb, the demon orb and the spirit orb, the yin and the yang. They flow so well together. And I think this movie does a great job. Obviously, like I said, Neja and K-pop Demon Hunters are children's movies, but they do a great job of like representing how two people who come from just two completely different cloths can kind of want the same thing, and it doesn't make them bad people for having different point of views and ways of going about things. I think that's super important nowadays, especially for kids. I mean, we live in such a what's the word I'm looking for? Like I'm blanking. Oh my gosh, English is so hard. But broad, it's not the word I'm looking for. Diverse. Oh my gosh, English. But we live in such a diverse world, and it's only getting more and more diverse. And that's not that that's a bad thing. Like, it's a great thing. You know, people are finding out who they want to be, and I totally love loving yourself. But I mean, it's so important for the kids to kind of know that like it's okay to like what you like, and it's okay to be who you want to be, as long as you have good intentions and like want to do the good or the right thing. Needless to say, you definitely got to like make mistakes to learn what that is as a kid. But this movie does that. I mean, Ao Bing and Neja are just complete opposites, you know? One's a fiery demon and the other one's like this spiritual wind, kind of like free spirit. And it's so amazing. They end up, I don't want to talk, I can't say that, no spoilers. But it's just a great movie. And it's just a great example of parallels, kind of like not being parallel, but kind of, you know, and the story is just, it's so beautiful. I had a couple tears come out of my eyes. I mean, there was just things, it actually handled some heavy topics inside the movie. And I mean, it really hit home for me. Like I had tears inside the theater, and I was so, I don't want to say shocked or like, I don't know how to explain it because I didn't have any expectations, but like whatever I was thinking inside my head, it got blown out of water, like in every form of the term. It was phenomenal. If you get the chance to somehow watch this movie, I don't know how long it'll be in theaters if you're local to where I'm at, just because it's not like a big time, you know, Western movie. Like it's a movie that was made in Chinese that was then translated in English. And, you know, you can't change the animation for things like that. So sometimes the lips are just a little bit off. But I mean, when it comes to digital, like I recommend, if you have little ones or even if you don't, like checking it out, because there's just so much you could enjoy with this movie. The fight scenes are phenomenal. Like I said, I was talking about the animation, how things were beautiful. This is a movie about Ao Bing and Neja trying to climb up to like heaven's kind of rank, and they have to like become like spirited warriors. So like, I'm trying not to spoil, like I said, but they go through challenges, and just seeing them fight, like the fights in this movie, because you eventually see like gods. Wow. I have never seen animation that well done. I'm pretty fluent. Like, I mean, I don't want to be like basic and say like, if I compared it to like a Dragon Ball fight, if I compared it to like a Naruto fight, you know, like, what's another good fighting or animation? God of High School. I mean, it didn't get like the treatment it deserved, but the animation in that was great for when it had the scenes that it needed. But like, you know, it's a movie, so it's not going to be like a 20-minute fight like you would see Goku versus Jiren. So it's like, take it with a grain of salt, but it's like a movie fight and so detailed. I mean, you see, there's one scene where they shoot like 1,000 bows, and you see like 1,000 bows individually drawn, moving and flowing. And it's just like, I don't know how long this movie took, but it hats off to them because they blew it out of the park. I would be surprised if it didn't win animation film of the, I would be thoroughly surprised, just because, like I said, I mean, you don't get 5th highest grossing movie of all time by being a fraudulent movie, unless you're James Cameron Avatar. But that's my hot take of the day. And with that being said, I'm going to translate to K-pop Demon Hunters, which is something you've probably already seen or you've probably already heard about. They are a K-pop group trio, Rumi, Zmira, and Zoe, Huntrix, and their voices are the Hanmoon for the world, sealing demons away. And oh my goodness, this movie has some absolute bangers. I got half of my staff at I can say it, at Cal Coast. I put them all on Golden. I mean, Golden is the number one song in the world right now. That's a fact. Billboard Hot 100. Huntrix is number one. That song is an absolute banger. It's like every time I take a shower, normally listen to something else, but like it's in the back of my head, like we're going up, up, up. Yeah, you know, I'm not a K-pop star. Sorry you had to hear that, but the songs are just so well done. It's actually insane, kind of how great that movie is. The story in itself too is amazing. You know, it's like not a coming of age, but like how would I explain this? You know, like it's someone figuring out who they are and loving themselves for who she really is. You know, and it's just like kind of what I said with Neja. Like I think in a world where we're making these movies for kids, and I feel like the standard was so high. I mean, you know, like I grew up with like The Lion King, Tarzan. I mean, Toy Story is my favorite movie, animated movie, Pixar movie of all time. Like that's my childhood movie. We grew up with all these great movies that taught us so many things, and the standard was so high. And I mean, for a while, you know, there was like a dip. There was a definite dip from like 2016 to, I don't know, they probably started picking it back up in like 2020. But even then, you know, like a lot of these Pixar movies lately have flopped because they're just not great. Like it's hard to create original stories that exceed its predecessors, and predecessors being like the movies that have came before it, because it's just, you know, like there's so many creative minds and there's so many minds that have already created. So like it takes a real talent to come up with something new. And that's what K-pop Demon Hunters did. I mean, it took things that like everyone's in love with right now, you know, like music, K-pop, like K-pop. I mean, I remember when BTS took over the world. They just, you know, they're like taking that and like fighting monsters. Like who doesn't like seeing like little like fighting monsters? Like whether even if you're a female, you know, like that's not like a male predominant thing. Cause I remember me and my sister when we were little kids, like watching like Totally Spies on like Cartoon Network, or seeing the Powerpuff Girls beat the absolute dog out of Mojo Jojo. You know, like women were badasses beating the crap out of people too. And if you're like a dude, I mean, you were watching Power Rangers, you know, you're watching Gundam, like Dragon Ball Z. Like who doesn't like seeing just people fight monsters and absolutely tear things up? So like that was awesome. And like I said, when you see Rumi kind of like go through her little, not little, I mean, you know, like I don't want to spoil the movie, but like she goes through her challenges of like finding, like she's fighting her own identity. And it's just I really love seeing all people be accepted and kind of loved for who they are. Because everyone should be able to feel comfortable in the world we live in. And I think if everyone just tried to do good, then like we're already doing better than we were yesterday. But outside of that, just it's awesome seeing Rumi kind of do that. And like I said, just like there's a special kind of happiness in watching these kind of movies, because I just think about my goddaughter, right? And I think about her cousins like Charlotte and Juju and Stefan, even, you know, like seeing all my little ones watch this stuff, and Remy, but they're all like under the age of 7. So like seeing them get to watch these things, knowing that like, granted, you know, they got great parents and I know their parents are teaching them these things, but just the reinforcement of like, hey, I know all, let me tell you, the number one backpack next year, or even this year, I guess school just started, is going to be a Huntrix backpack, because they absolutely bang. But it's just awesome. It's like, it is genuinely awesome watching these kids learn to like know that it's okay to be who you are, and like love yourself and love everyone around you for who they are. You know, we all got our own demons. Rumi's got her little identity crisis, and she doesn't believe that her 2 best friends in the world would accept her. And it's, you know, and I love seeing that too. Like the way even Huntrix is represented. I've been talking about Rumi a lot, but I mean, Mira, I mean, she just grows up like this outcast, like, you know, like she's not comfortable within her own family. And that's okay. You know, like she needs to be who she is. And if she's like this rebel, kind of like hard-headed, hot-headed, just fiery, fierce, strong woman, then like that's who she is. And same with Zoe, or Zoe on the opposite spectrum is your laughable, cute little like what's the word I'm looking for? Like bubbly. Bubbly's the perfect word. She just wants peace and love, and she wants to have fun. And it's so cool seeing the three of them be the three best friends, each one a different type of personality, and just really be accepted for who they are. And while they're doing that, they're coming out with absolute bangers. And maybe this is a conversation, I actually didn't prepare this, but like talking about it now, like I think Golden, probably the greatest movie song of all time. That's like a recency bias. And I've said this before on here. I'm very much like a recency bias movie, like reviewer, I mean. But Golden is amazing. That song, I don't think I've heard a song that big in like a movie since Let It Go. Like if I had to think top 5 songs, and this is like I said, I didn't prepare this, but if I had to think top 5 songs in a movie that were made for a movie in a movie, like City of Stars comes to mind. This is the Greatest Show, Greatest Showman. Phenomenal movie, by the way. If you haven't seen that, check it out. I love musicals. Hugh Jackman knocks it out of the park. Rewrite the Stars, Zac Efron, Zendaya. Which song's better in that movie? I couldn't even tell you which one's better. I think like Rewrite the Stars, just because that's like a song you could sing in the shower and just scream it. So what if we rewrite the stars? Yeah, I am a American pop star. Not a K-pop star though. But like, yeah, like, I just think it's really cool how, not really cool, but I just think it's amazing, these songs in these movies. And I think Golden, it has to be. Like Let It Go is number 2 or number 1, but like that's the 1-2 spot, and only time will tell. But yeah, K-pop Demon Hunters is amazing. It's such a good movie for kids to watch. And I mean, I had fun watching it too, like I think it was amazing. If I had to watch like one as an adult, like if I was going to watch one by myself, like I would probably choose Neja 2, just because I think it appeals to my taste more, in the sense like K-pop Demon Hunters is made for kids, whereas Neja 2, like you could tell it has some like adult qualities and traits and things that'll be like, okay, like I understand where you're coming from in this. And I just think it's so amazing. Like I've said it 3 or 4 times now. I'm so happy these kids are learning to grow up in a world and just love each other. And it's awesome. It's awesome that like we're kind of becoming more grounded, in the sense like I feel like, I don't want to take a dig at people, but like, dude, for a while, there were some pretty crazy kids out there. Like kids were getting away with a lot. And I think it was just like the social media boom, to be honest. I think a lot of kids were like, just like the term iPad kids, I think when that all started, kids were kind of evil. And now we're kind of getting back. Like I see a lot of like well-educated, disciplined kids. And I don't know. I don't think that's like obviously the movie's fault, but I just think the movies help, like you got to learn somewhere, and they're really doing a great job with the kids' movies these days. And so I don't think I gave a score for either of them. If I had to review K-pop Demon Hunters, I think I would give it an 8.25, 8.5, somewhere in there. Just a great movie. I don't really have many complaints for it, if any, just other than the fact that, like it's made for kids. It's hard to like, for me as someone whose like favorite movie is Inception, because like it took me so many watches as a kid to try to keep up and follow with it. And like, I got that little like switch in my brain, like when I would connect the dot on like the 3rd watch, like, so it's hard to get that out of K-pop Demon Hunters, but at the same time, like different goals, and I am at all those kids I had mentioned earlier. They're just, I like, that's all their favorite movies. They love it. They talk to their parents about it and they're like, oh yeah, this is my favorite song. That's my favorite song. Like it's a sick movie. And Neja 2, I think I would give like a 9.2, 9.3. Neja is almost a perfect movie. I think the only thing that knocks it really comes down to And this is on me. Maybe that 0.8, 0.7 comes from me, but it's the translation gap, the barrier. I could tell there were some times where things were, like I said, just worded a little differently. So hard for me to kind of follow through. Because you know how like when you're listening and then you disconnect thinking about what you kind of just heard and trying to connect the dots, because these, like I said, there's 20 names being thrown at you, and then you kind of almost miss a part. While you're thinking, you're kind of not thinking about what's being said. And so that's maybe that's on me. But there's also that barrier in the beginning as well, where I said you're kind of being introduced to everything. Maybe it's because I didn't have the knowledge of watching the first movie, but everyone says it's 2.5 hours, zero purpose in watching it. So I kind of, on me, and maybe I should do my part, especially if this is like something that I want to do. As a movie reviewer and podcaster, am I? I don't know. But like, maybe I should watch it. But yeah, so I think I would go 9.2, Neja 2, and then K-Pop Demon Hunters, maybe like an 8.5. 8.5 feels good. Because like I said, I don't have any complaints for these movies other than like my comprehension, my like personal takes on it. They're great. They're great. And if you have little ones, like check it out. Fantastic. And with that being said, I want to go into Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 1. So this was another written, directed by James Gunn. You already kind of know where I'm going with this. But I think, this episode was really weird to me. It wasn't bad by any means. Like out of the James Gunn stuff, This was decent, It was just so many things were shown, and you're catching up with every character from the ending of season 1. And most of the stuff I just don't care about. And I was talking to a buddy, and I know I shouldn't have been. Shout out Nate. But like, I'm trying... This was a setup episode. It was a setup episode for the rest of the season, and you're kind of backtracking on what's happened since the end of season 1 and since the DCEU kind of started. And that was cool. It was connecting a lot of dots, but at the same time, it was an episode that needed to happen, but at the same time, none of it, I feel is relative to the future of the story. All of their characters just kind of felt, like I said, just tying up loose ends from where they had left off, setting up. It was just an episode where each character, there's 6 subplots going on, and each one of them are like doing their one little part, their one scene. And John Cena's Peacemaker, Chris, obviously being the most important, and it was for sure. And like that was the coolest part for sure. But at the same time, it was like a 5-minute scene, and it was a 45-minute episode for 5 minutes that I care about. The cameos even felt lackluster. Cool, always. But it almost feels redundant now. It's like, dude, when you first watch Guardians of the Galaxy 1, you're like, holy shit. No, I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to cuss. My bad. But you're like, oh my gosh, like Guardians 1 is amazing, And then you watch it again. Okay, like this is cool. And then you watch Guardians 2. And if you know me, Guardians 2 is arguably my least favorite Marvel movie. It's terrible. It's so bad, unwatchable. And you're just like, wow, okay. And, I just think that's like a James Gunn thing. Like, I think he's got his mind in the right places. I just wish he could kind of write things and let other people execute them. And maybe my podcast is just going to be the Gun at James Gunn podcast, because I just don't agree with a lot of his decisions. But like I said, this episode needed to happen too, and it's going to set up the rest of the season. So like, we'll see going out from here. The dance, the opening scene. I mean, they started what they did for season 1. It's just amazing. It's so cool. It's so original, maybe not original, but like bringing it back, how the opening scene, for those who don't know, and if you haven't watched season 1, I definitely recommend. It's not written by James Gunn. It's a phenomenal show. But the every episode opens with the same intro song, and the whole cast is doing like this ensemble of a dance, and they're all. It's so fun. It's just fun. It's something unique to the show. Other shows don't do it, but it just shows that like they want the show to be good and they're willing to put the work in. John Cena has recently said in an interview with doing the WWE and Peacemaker and the DCEU, like how is he going back and forth with time to time doing the talk shows, and just how does he have so much time? And he literally said in his full Peacemaker suit, he was like saying he was speechless. But he's just saying like he wants this to work. And for everyone that's waiting in line to see him and interview him on the red carpet, like they want to talk to him and give him the opportunity to show off his craft. And he believes in it. And when I love hearing stuff like that, because when you really can tell when people want their show, their movie, their projects to work, because it really is like, it's weird to say, but it really is in that media run. Like you can tell when things are going to, just going into it, what kind of production you're going to get into, you know? And I love that John Cena's like, you know, like I will shake everyone's hand because they took the time to wait for me. The least I can do is say, hey, thank you for appreciating my work, for giving me a job. And it's just like, dude, you just want to support people that have this philosophy. Cause you know, like you always want the good guy to win. And John Cena's proven time and time and time again. Like I'm a diehard WWE fan, you know, like I was watching Monday Night Raw a little bit ago. Like you just, he's a good person. You can tell the things he does, the way he treats and reacts with kids, engages with kids. Like he's just always trying to spread positivity. And like I said, maybe that's a good place to end. You know, I don't have a lot to say. Just, you know, I don't always want to like end on like some dramatic speech, but really like just to the people that believe in you, do them the courtesy of showing up and saying thank you, and saying thank you for believing in me. Thank you for supporting me, because it's the least you can do. And like, just be a good person, you know? And I apologize. I actually just realized right now I don't have a comic book laid out. So on that note, I think that's where I'm just gonna end it. I think next week I'll do 2 comics for you guys. I don't want to like sell you guys short, but I am a little behind today and unprepared, as you can tell. Whoops. But have a good rest of your day.